don't work for the CIA.
City's under threat. They do today.
Conspiracy in the heart of the police force.
They planning another bomb? Sorry, I think you got the wrong address.
So we are talking about the movie Bastille Day. This one is directed by James Watkins and stars Idris Elba and Richard Madden, who, in case you don't know, was Robb Stark in Game of Thrones. Now, Bastille Day actually refers to a big festival day in France, and they actually liken it in the movie to Independence Day in America. So that is the relevance of the title here. And the story here basically is we have a young pickpocket played by Madden, and he inadvertently robs this woman who happens to be carrying a bomb in her bag, and so her original mission was to blow up this kind of like this office building. That's a kind of the start of a plot that will be uncovered throughout the movie. However, he kind of steals the bag and he goes off somewhere, somewhere else basically, and he ends up kind of getting almost framed as a kind of terror suspect by accident, really, and he's pursued by CIA agent Idris Elba, who obviously uncovers the truth, and the pair team up to try and kind of track down the real bad guys. So it is kind of a Luc Besson style thriller, action spy movie, but the biggest comparison I would say here is twofold. First and foremost, it obviously with Idris Elba playing this kind of role, you can't help but think of Luther, which is his British kind of TV show, cop drama. And he very much plays a very similar type of character, a very much kind of like doesn't play by the rules, is kind of his own boss and kind of, insubordinate but gets the job done type of character. Very much like Luther. The only difference here is he plays it with an American accent, as does Madden, I have to say. So you can't help but think of Luther when you watch this when you watch this movie, and because of that, it kind of feels like a TV film to a certain degree. The other thing I would compare it to is Die Hard 4. Now, before you switch off this video, the actual plot, the way it moves, things that happen in this film, the kind of the level of violence in this film, all are so reminiscent of Die Hard 4. So if you were to take out Luther from the TV show, plop him in the plot of Die Hard 4, give it an American accent, and that is Bastille Day. You even got the reluctant, plucky sidekick like you did in Die Hard 4, obviously played by Madden in this case. So it is a little bit of a recycled plot. I have to say, I thought the dialogue was a little cheesy here. There are some kind of lines that are delivered that I think, ooh, that's kind of like, might work on the page, but in the film, I don't think it particularly worked. It does have somewhat of a TV feel to it, I have to say, because obviously, Idris Elba's quite the big star now, but you can't help but think of Luther, and obviously Madden is probably best known for Game of Thrones. I know he's been in a couple of films, but you can't help but think of his main role as Robb Stark, really. And because the violence is, there's a fair amount of action and kind of like shootouts and stuff like that, but it tends to be on the kind of the PG-13 sort of side of things. It's kind of somewhat muted, so it kind of gives you that sort of TV feel. On the plus side of this movie, it has a fair old pace. I liked the interplay between Madden and Idris Elba's character. They both are putting on American accents, which I found somewhat distracting because they're both so you're just used to them playing with the English accents for so much, so it's kind of distracting somewhat when you hear them kind of like with these false American accents. And it also has a little bit of commentary on the world at large in regards to its political climate and social media as well. I kind of did like the way that it makes commentary on the way that social media can kind of influence people, and is really, when you get people into this kind of like mob mentality, they will kind of just believe what they are told on social media and stuff like that, and just kind of go along with it. So even if I don't know if it even kind of was meant to be making sort of commentary on that, but it did, and I kind of like appreciated that. And obviously, like I said, it does make some commentary on the you know, the kind of like the political tensions in certain countries and certain areas, and maybe people getting blamed for things, stuff like that. So I thought that was all quite good. The action here, even though it's somewhat muted, I have to say I still quite enjoyed it. There are a couple of good fight scenes here, and I like the choreography here, because you do feel like people are getting solid punches and stuff like that when they're fighting. I think they kind of feel sort of quite realistic, and the hits and kind of stuff do feel that they kind of, you know, have some impact and stuff like that. It's quite an exciting film. It's kind of a very much a throwaway action film to a certain degree, but I still kind of liked it. If you did like Die Hard 4, and I know it's not as good as obviously 1 or 3, but it still is no way about as 5. If you like Die Hard 4, then you will like this film. There's no way that you can. That's pretty much a given. I still kind of liked it. I did think it was kind of cheesy, but it's a fun action film. I think it moved at a good old pace. I kind of like the chemistry between all the sort of the characters in here. I thought the bad guys were kind of fun as well. I kind of quite like the bad guys. Overall, it's a fairly decent action thriller. I will go and check it out. I'll give this movie a 7 out of 10. Have you seen it? What did you think of it? Leave me a comment, and I'll look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.